Rusame reader, Kurosong! And today I will be reading to you from Stars and Moonflowers in Our Garden by RainbowStar_772. That's me! Now, on to Chapter 2, Discomfort and Dumb Decisions. America smiled a little. Sure, the sunlight was harsh, but getting through the day made seeing the moonlight worth it. He had a couple hours until his shift was over. He'd be allowed to return to his quarters, and they'd send for him if they needed his help. Just as he thought he might have an easy end of the day, a very injured guard came in. He sighed and collected what it looked like he might need to treat them. All right, you want to tell me what happened? I need to log it for the king, America asked, his tone gentle, but he was slightly annoyed. Training accident. Gua got a bit rough with us today. Mary, he's merciless. The guard whined, laying on the medical table. Thanks, Italy, America mumbled, going over to the notebook on his desk. He marked down the time, date, patient, and reason for showing up. Now, let's have a look at that. America gently removed Italy's training coat, the sleeve of which was torn. It looked like Italy had a superficial cut on his arm upon first glance, but upon closer examination, it was obviously deeper. America sighed and grabbed a cleansing water that Japan had prepared for him. It'd help him remove any bacteria and imperfections from the wounded area. It allowed for faster healing times. He dipped the cloth in it and lightly dabbed around the area. He then used a cloth with normal water to wipe away the dried blood. He sighed as he saw what he was left to work with. It definitely needed stitches. He was not excited about that. He dipped his stitching needle in the cleansing water to make sure it was clean, then got to work. He stitched up the wound and then grabbed the gauze and bandages he originally thought would be sufficient. He put the needle away and hummed. So, what did you do? I know Guam didn't just go harsh on you for no reason. He's not like that, America asked as he began wrapping the gauze. I guess I can't get anything past you, huh, Mary? Italy laughed. Well, I kinda riled him up, and we were using actual blades today, so, you know. You're hopeless, Dolly, America sighed as he finished wrapping the wound with gauze. He then enjoyed the silence as he started wrapping the bandages around the gauze. Soon enough, it was treated, and he'd have to draft an incident report on severity of injury and the treatment. Before I boot you from my office, let me remind you to keep off that arm. No using it. Come back to me tomorrow so I can replace your bandages, America said, slightly frustrated with his friend. If I found out you used it... America was cut off with a laugh from his friend and an, or you'll beat my ass. I know. I won't use it, I swear. That's what they all say, America grumbled snarkily as he went back to his desk for the incident report. America drafted his report. It was a minor injury in the grand scheme of things, but severe for training. Writing down what he had to use for treatment was easy enough, and all things considered, his supply use was minimal. Incident reports sucked, but this was his job. The rest of his day went without incident. No one else showed up in his office requiring treatment. He smiled, finally able to finish his reorganization of his herbs and magical treatment items. He'd checked his normal supplies earlier that day, and thankfully he was good for the next month. unless half the guards got horribly injured, or everyone got sick. And if that happened, he would make sure he got an assistant. If he had to treat that all on his own, he'd quit and become a wandering healer or something. He didn't want to think of going back to wandering, but he'd live if he had to. Honestly, he'd been a little frazzled by the day, but overall it was fine. He was just glad it was sunset, meaning he could spend a while with his friends before he went off to tend to the flowers. Brazil, Mexico, Canada, Poland, Germany, North Korea, South Korea, Japan, and China were hanging around outside his room. Well, he preferred calling it his quarters. Once he got there, they all went in and hung out in his room. Bean played with Japan's hair because she refused to stop the little gremlin when he was a kid and doing it. Now he was a large cat and refused to stop playing with her hair when she was around. They were currently on the topic of whatever stupid shit Italy had said to Guam, and Japan was more than happy to pitch in what she thinks he said. America didn't often like to talk this way about his patients, but his friends and their family were an exception. If Italy did something stupid, his twin, Japan, would want to know. And vice versa. Plus, his friends usually brought up how they ended up in his office before he did. And as the darkness rolled in, his friends trickled off, all heading to bed. He didn't mind being the only one up, and rather preferred it. He pet a now sleeping Bean and left his quarters. He closed the door behind him as quietly as he could. Once he was under the moon, he let out a relieved sigh. He made his way to the first patch of flowers, lightly checking their stems. Then he moved on, checking the chamomile flowers next. He was interrupted when someone grabbed his wrist. He tried to pull it away gently, but before he could properly process what was happening, he was forcefully pulled into a kiss. He tried getting away. This crazy woman came up to him, proclaimed her romantic love for him, and demanded marriage. He'd said no many times, but this was the first time she'd tried something like this. He pushed her away, elbowing her in the stomach as he did. She was stunned, and it gave him time to run back to his quarters. Once he was there, he locked himself in his room and dry-heaved. That was disgusting. What the fuck was wrong with Mexico's sister? He'd be asking her about that tomorrow. But now he couldn't sleep because of the feeling of being violated. It lingered. It brought him great disgust. He needed a shower or a bath. Either would work, but a bath would be quieter and likely a bit more comfortable considering everything. He sighed and leaned against the door before pulling himself up. He opened the bathroom door. As the sole royal healer, he got a private bathroom, which was honestly really nice. He ran himself a nice, lukewarm bath and got in. And that's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, I'd like to invite you to join the Discord, which is linked down in the description below. That being said, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, night, or whatever it is for you. Just enjoy your time. And I will see you tomorrow!